question, Cole?
Hey everybody, happy Friday. Glad to see everyone online with us today on our Confab. My name is Colin. I'm part of the CN&CO team, in case you didn't know me. I'm here to introduce our fabulous guests for this afternoon. They are Justin and Nina Pierce. Nina will kick off. She's a creativity expert, and she runs a series of workshops with companies and individuals who are wanting to give their creativity a little bit of a boost. It's called Creativity Wake Up. I did the course myself a couple of years ago, and it was really, really, really cool. I enjoyed it a lot. So she's going to be kicking our minds into gear ahead of the weekend. And then Justin is a DJ, and he's going to be playing some really, really cool deep house tunes for us as soon as Nina's done. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Nina to talk a little bit about creativity. Nina.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much, Colin, for the opportunity to share with all of you today, to be here. What a wonderful opportunity. And I hope that this afternoon is going to give you a little bit of a chance to chillax, to relax, to unwind, but also to spark up some really fun and interesting creative thoughts in your minds. So I'm going to just start sharing with you my screen, and please get yourself a pen and a piece of paper. You're going to need that as you start waking up your brain. And we're going to have a quick, just 30 minutes on activating your creative brain. So whether you are feeling super creative or if you're feeling your creativity is a little bit dormant, this session is for you. So I'm so glad that you're here today. We're going to start off with the movies. I love the movies. And I want to tell you a little bit of a story that makes me think of us and our creativity, and the story is about Carol Danvers. I don't know who of you have seen this, but Carol is this amazing woman who we meet her on a planet. She is fighting Jon Hogg, and he is overpowering her. She has super strength, and she can sort of have these slightly electric fists, but he can beat her, and he tames her power. But what we find out over this movie is that actually the Cree people, that she's been led to believe she's Cree, and they've implanted this thing in her head that reduces her powers and suppresses them. And she starts having all these memory flashbacks, and she doesn't know what it is, and she goes on this quest to find out where she's from. And we see, as the movie progresses, her powers increase and increase. We see her then being able to shoot things out of her hands, and then over time she realizes actually she can remove this implant, and rather than giving it power, it was taking away her power. She discovers her power was given to her when this tesseract exploded, and by the end of the movie, she has got so powerful, she actually glows with power, and we even see she is able to fly. And for me, and we find out later, she is actually one of the most powerful Avenger, and the only other person in the universe other than Thanos, who is able to move planets. So she's a pretty powerful woman, and this makes me think so much. When I founded Creativity Wake Up with my business partner and Celia Falkenberg, who's on this call, we had such a strong sense that our creativity is this superpower that we have inside of us that has not been developed. We've developed over time at school. There's so much poured into our logical thinking, our verbal skills, etc. And our creative thinking is really, our imaginations are just not developed enough. And we thought, what would the world be like if human beings could take out these Cree implants that are blocking our power, which is mindsets and ways of working and how society's been constructed, and we really all got to use our creative thinking. What could we do in the world? So that's just a little picture for you to think about what power you have inside you. But let's get going quickly and start doing a little quick exercise. I want you to get out a piece of paper and a pen, and I'd like you just to start practicing a little bit of your creative thinking. I want to show you how creative your brain is. I want you to make 3 squiggles, just like the ones on the screen, or not just like, however you like. Make them each one a little bit different. These are my squiggles. And then I want you to turn these into a bird. So hint, beak, eyes, claws. You lucky because you don't have your cameras on, so you don't have to show them to us, but just use your imagination. What are you going to do? How do you turn those into a little bird? Okay, so I'm doing mine. What do yours look like? Was that easy? Your brain is an association machine. And this is something scientists are working on so hard, techies are working so hard with AI to try and get AI to be creative. That's a whole another subject, and there's some amazing things that are coming out of what tech can do. But our brains are amazing at seeing patterns, of joining things together, of creating things out of nothing. So here's some birds that have been created. Here are mine that I've done too. I wonder what yours look like. Squiggle birds are a way of showing us that even without being creative, it's not really about being able to draw or anything like that. It is about being able to solve problems, being able to make associations, being able to use our imagination. So you have this incredible mind. Here's some more squiggle birds if you want to play around. They're quite a fun thing to do with your teams or with yourselves to keep your creativity going. So we've developed a process at Creativity Wake Up that we are going to take you through really quickly in this session today. And that is thinking of your creativity as the superpower, like Carol Danvers' superpower inside her. We think of it as a beautiful lamp. So a lamp gives light, but some of our lamps are, maybe we don't use them as much. Maybe we've run out of oil. Maybe the pandemic has really drained our oil. Or maybe that lamp is actually buried underground, and what we need to do is dig it out. So our process at Creativity Wake Up of getting your creative thinking going is to dig out, clean off, fill up, and light our lamps. So let's start with digging out. And what I'd like you to do here is to, again, go back to your piece of paper, draw a circle in the middle. And I want you to give that circle a little face and give it a name, me. Okay, so that's you in the middle of your little page. And now I want you to think about if you could live your life over, let's just say 5 times, what would you do? What would you be? Now, money, kids, responsibilities aside, let your mind go. Write them as spokes coming out of this, your picture. It's going to be like a little mind map. What imaginary lives would you live? If more thoughts come to you out of those first sparks, then please draw them out even more. And I'll just give you a few moments to let yourself think about those lives and let your associative mind go wild. You didn't think you were going to have to do anything, did you? So I hope that things are coming flooding to your mind. If they're not, don't worry. Thoughts like ice go nowhere when they're frozen, and sometimes we've just got to melt the ice. Some of you might be already starting to dip into an amazing imaginative world, and that is awesome. What I'd love you to do is take this away as a little exercise to do on the weekend. Take this mind map that you started drawing of yourself, of these imaginary lives, build them out as far as you can till you've got no more page left, and try to start with the big one. Then take a look at that and think about how can you bring parts of those lives into your current life, because this digging out is digging into the things that spark joy for us, and these things bring us energy and they bring us creativity into our lives. And sometimes the humdrum of life, just doing what we need to be done, getting our checklists and organizing things, can stifle this creativity out of us, and we need to dig into these sparks and see how we can bring more of that into our lives. And when we start getting creative, we'll find there are actually probably many aspects of these imaginary lives that we can start bringing into our own life. I'm going to let you do the thinking there, and really stretch your imagination. And as we think about this, I want to just talk to you a bit about, what do you believe creativity, what is creativity about for you? Now, I know we've done a little bit of drawing, but creativity is not actually artistry. Artistry requires creativity, but a widely accepted definition of creativity is that creativity is the use of our imagination to create something novel and useful. So there's a verb in there. We're going to create something, we're going to make something. It's not just thinking, it's not just ideas, it's not just pie in the sky. It's very practical. And I think that's the part that excites me so much, is the ideas and also making them happen, moving forward. Creativity has a lot of action in it. And this formula, I think, is a super helpful formula developed by a mathematician who's also a creativity expert, called Ruth Noller. She's passed on now, but it says creativity is a function of 3 things: knowledge, imagination, and evaluation. And these 3 things, we can develop all of them if we want to develop our creativity. And now at school, we get a lot of knowledge. And if it's a good school, they'll also teach us a bit of evaluation type of thinking, critical type of thinking, but we're not all developing our imaginations enough. And we see this in so much research that's come out over the last sort of half a century. And all of these 3 things are multiplied by the magic A, which is our attitude. And if our attitude is one of fear, one of anger, one of bitterness, one of despair, one of doubt, then we're not going to be able to apply even when we have great knowledge, imagination, and evaluation. So a key part of the creative mindset of creativity is this mindset, this attitude of being able to see possibility, other aspects of this attitude of perseverance. We keep trying things, even if we fail. All great creators that we know have loads and loads of failures. They love to experiment. There's courage. There is, taking delight in things and looking at things with wonder. There is humor, and a massive aspect of this is curiosity, looking around and being curious and saying, okay, this terrible thing has happened. How might I get out of this hole? How might we see things differently? How could we create a better situation? So creative thinkers have this attitude of possibility. And so this is a great thing to start developing as we develop our creativity. So let's go on to clean off, and I have an activity for you right here. And that is to go and do a creativity quiz that we have, because there are so many things that stop our creativity. So this is like Carol Danvers' plug in her neck from the Cree. We have things like, I'm sure as you think of what blocks creativity, they're going to come to your mind: fear, self-doubt, busyness, bad habits. All of these things stop our creativity. But we also have personality-based things that impact our creativity. And so we want you to do a very quick exercise. So you'll see on the screen, there's a quick quiz you're going to do right now. It's only going to take you about 5 minutes, and it's going to provide you with feedback on what, according to your personality, might be blocking some of your creativity. What could you work on to take your creativity even better to the next level? You will see the link in the chat. So my husband is going to be playing later, but now I'm going to play you some music while you do this quiz, and this is going to take you 5 minutes. So I'm going to stop sharing here, and please go ahead, click on that link and do your quiz.
Just a simple journey, a journey full of sound and peace, one that will lead you down, way down, to the underground. I said the underground, where your body begins to tremble and your hands become just a little nimble. The underground. Ah, shit! This one is not going to come up piano. This is the divas start screaming, and oh, how the boys are beaming. Where your feet can take to flight, and the DJ makes it right. Ah, the underground, baby. Ah, the underground. If you can hang till daybreak, you know you're coming home late.
Okay, so hopefully you've all got in there. Sorry, I realized some of you didn't see the link, but didn't have the link. The link is there, and hopefully you're doing your quiz. I'm just going to start getting ready to share some of the results with you. Alrighty. So if you're not done, sorry, I'm calling you back. We have limited time, but please go and finish it later. So you're going to get results that are come back from you. Either they're coming back to you now as you're finishing that quiz, or when you finished it, you're going to get emailed your results, as well as a whole lot of hints and tips as to how to get over, how to work with that killer, how to do that cleaning off. And they look at 4 broad areas, and those killers are going to be things like overdrive, oversensitivity, overwhelm, or overanalysis. And I think you might see a little bit of yourself in there. Maybe there'll be more than one that you recognize. So please go ahead and do that. And sometimes just beginning to be aware of what is killing our creativity can help us to get over it. So let's move right on to the next section, which is filling up. And how do we fill up our creativity? So if we go back to this formula, there are many different ways. We could look at our attitude and say, how do we get back into that great attitude? How do we start to see possibility? How do we build courage? How do we build perseverance? And each of those aspects you can work on. Or you can work on your knowledge, and you can say, how do I expand my knowledge into new and different areas? You know, the broader we think, the more creative we're going to be. There's a fantastic British writer who set herself a goal of reading a book from every country in the world in a year. And I thought that is such an amazing thing to do. How much are you going to learn? How are you going to expand your thinking by bringing in so many new perspectives and having a book? If I think of the countries that I've read books from, that's going to be a very short list. So that's a great thing to do. And then expanding your imagination. What are exercises that you can do to expand your imagination? How can you stretch it? How can you push yourself beyond your bounds? And I don't want to hear from you, oh, well, I'm an accountant. We have an imagination, just you. And you did that exercise when you thought of those imaginary lives. You're using your imagination. Sorry, accountants, I love you. I was also an accountant once. And then evaluation. How can you stop your critic that stops those ideas from flowing out so quickly? And that's one of the things we learn in brainstorming is we judge our ideas before we let them flow. So with evaluation, it's almost how do we take the brakes off that for a while to let the ideas flow even more. And I'm going to quickly show you a couple of ideas from great creative thinkers. So what did Leonardo da Vinci do? He created mind maps, and he called this arte e scienza. And it was the joining of art and science because it was logical ideas in lists, but in a drawn out way, in a mapped out way. So I'm a huge fan of mind maps, and it's a wonderful way to develop your creativity and to solve problems in teams and groups. Albert Einstein walked every day, walking. The Romans called this solvitas perambulam. In other words, solve it while you walk. And this has got amazing things to do with your crossing your meridian, left and right, and that impacts your brain. And also just getting some white space, getting some unfocused time to solve problems. So hopefully a lot of people have been doing this anyway because of the pandemic. In terms of sleeping 10 hours a night, we can all laugh our heads off at that. But can you sleep at least 7 hours? That's going to help your brain ward off dementia when you are older, and that really helps you solve problems. He also didn't wear socks and loved smoking his pipe, but he wasn't put off by tough problems. Some creative thinkers of today, Richard Branson collects ideas like crazy. So he is focusing on the knowledge there, getting in as much knowledge and as much thinking as he can, and also imagination. And he always said, listen more than you talk. That's one of his things he says. Seth Godin, a marketing guru, writes every morning. This is going to affect your attitude. This is going to help you be in the right attitude to think creatively. And we really recommend his book, The Practice, which has come out fairly recently, about how to ship creative work. Elon Musk reads voraciously, again, really getting that knowledge in. The more dots you have in there, the more dots there are for your brain to connect. And also he seeks out criticism, so he seeks out more input there. And Tom Hanks has a lovely little imagination exercise that he does. So this is the I for imagination. These are all the aspects of the formula, if you're wondering what I'm scribbling on here. The I for imagination. And that is, he takes photos of lost objects he sees around his walks to and from his commute to work. And then he makes up a backstory. He takes photos of them, he puts them on his Instagram, and he makes up an imaginary story about where this object is from and how it ended up on his path. So what could you do to stretch your imagination? Finally, we get on to light. And this is all about putting your creativity into action. And I want to encourage you today, as it's a Friday afternoon and you want to chillax, but you have this amazing creative superpower in you. And where can you use it? What is your passion for? What is your spark for? How can you help solve problems in this world? And where can you use your creative energy? I really think that if, as I said at the beginning, if all of us used our creative energy and we used our creative thinking, we would be able to solve all the problems of this day. And finally, I just want to say, don't take yourself too seriously. This is a killer of creativity is seriousness, solemnity. And when we lighten up, literally brain science has shown us, we have more dopamine in our brain, we have more serotonin, more oxytocin, and we're literally better to think. We're able to think better and make more connections when we don't take ourselves too seriously. So we've got to sometimes just lighten up. I love this character, Anne with an E. If you haven't seen this, it's a lovely show to watch. And you know, there's sometimes some things we need to think about. I want to just read you a couple of things that I think are good to stretch our curiosity and get us a little bit more lighthearted. And that's like, why we think about the world around us. Why do scuba divers fall backwards out of the boat? Because if they fell forwards, they'd still be in the boat. And how come Americans choose from just 2 people for president and 50 people for Miss America? And why is it that no matter what color bubble bath you use, the bubbles are always clear? And where do forest rangers go to get away from it all? And why is it called after dark when it's really after light? And if man evolved from monkeys and apes, why do we still have monkeys and apes? And why doesn't Tarzan have a beard? And why isn't there a shorter word for monosyllabic? And why does fat chance and slim chance mean the same thing? And why are they called apartments when they're stuck together? And how come you've never heard about gruntled employees? And finally, was it a cruel joke to put an S in lisp? So these are all curiosities about the world around us that sometimes we need to think about. So I hope that's given you something to think about this afternoon. And before I hand over to my lovely husband, Justin Pierce, I want to invite you to the Olympics. We are having Creativity Olympics together with a business partner, Excellence SA, on Wednesday next week. You can go and find us on LinkedIn and sign up for that. It's going to be an hour of creative games and exercises and testing out your creative thinking. We also have a 5-day wake-up course online, which is 5 online lessons that is really fun and waking up your creativity. And you can find us on Google and all your socials. So we'd hope that you are really going to be inspired to be like Carol Danvers and turn yourself into Captain Marvel, because if there's one thing you take away from this session this afternoon, it's to tell you that you really are a superhero. So over to Justin. I'm going to pick him up. I'm picking up the screen over here, and I'm going to head you over to some chill out house music to enjoy for the rest of the session. Bye, everyone.
You've got the audio on there. Just switch the audio off. Oh, please take popcorn away. Needs to take popcorn away. It's too close. Take it away a bit. It's not a very good angle. You should have left it where it was.
Tell me where you wanna go, somewhere I can find you.
you. Oh, these years go by. Oh, by my side. Go ahead, run that light. You know I got you. Yeah. 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 You know I got you. Yeah.
This year we've had to lose our space we've lost dancing. We've lost the hugs with friends and people that we loved, all these things that we took for granted. We've lost dancing. We've lost dancing. If I can live through, we've lost dancing. This next 6 months, we've lost dancing. Day by day, we've lost dancing. If I can live through this, we've lost dancing. What comes next will be marvelous. comes next will be marvelous.
Thank you, everyone. I believe that you can hear me through thing from singing a bit earlier, but that is it. So thank you all very much. Hope you enjoyed. Have a very lekker weekend.